Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. I am going to be reading some poems by William Butler Yeats. This video should be the fourth and hopefully the final video in a series of videos which I have done focusing upon poetry by W.B. Yeats. I will put links to the others in the description box. This series has not been without its snafus. I have mentioned that this has been my go-to book for Yeats. It contains everything that I love most dearly by the poet. I should also add that subsequent editions of this became selected poems and 3 plays, and then I believe even selected poems and 4 plays, without any real significant change in the book. I haven't actually possessed those later editions. I early on made some disparaging remarks about people who say that they love poetry but do not have this book, and I was as wrong as could be in making that kind of shaming statement. I apologize to my viewers. This book is needful if you are going for a deep dive in William Butler Yeats. For me, it is not strictly necessary. I bought this years ago, and I keep it hidden away where I can't access it. So just this series of videos has brought me into contact again with this volume. It's a volume of his complete, and you can see what the other ones are there. So we shall see how the reading goes. I'm always afraid with Yeats that I'm going to come across some words or names whose pronunciation I cannot figure out. The first poem is titled Byzantium. The unpurged images of day recede. The emperor's drunken soldiery are abed. Night resonance recedes. Night walker's song after great cathedral gong. A starlit or a moonlit dome disdains all that man is, all mere complexities, the fury and the mire of human veins. Before me floats an image, man or shade, shade more than man, more image than a shade. For Hades, bobbin bound in mummy cloth, may unwind the winding path. A mouth that has no moisture and no breath, breathless mouths may summon. I hail the superhuman, I call it death in life and life in death. Miracle, bird, or golden handiwork, more miracle than bird or handiwork, planted on the starlit golden bough, can, like the cocks of Hades, crow, or by the moon embittered, scorn aloud in glory of changeless metal, common bird or petal, and all complexities of mire or blood. At midnight, on the emperor's pavement, flit flames that no faggot feeds, nor steel has lit, nor storm disturbs, flames begotten of flame, where blood-begotten spirits come, and all complexities of fury leave, dying into a dance, an agony of trance, an agony of flame that cannot singe a sleeve. Astraddle on the dolphin's mire and blood, spirit after spirit, the smithies break the flood, the golden smithies of the emperor, marbles of the dancing floor break bitter furies of complexity, those images that yet fresh images beget that dolphin torn, that gong tormented sea. I think the other poem, Sailing to Byzantium, may well be the more famous, which is in the last video I did. That almost had sort of a sestina-like flavor to it, didn't it, with the repetition of words. So I'm just sort of refamiliarizing myself with these poems in these impromptu readings. Well, I've glanced at them to pick out the poems in advance, but that's about it. In some cases, I'm not really sure why I picked out a poem even. Chosen. The lot of love is chosen. I learnt that much, struggling for an image on the track of the whirling zodiac. Scarce did he my body touch, scarce sank he from the west, or found a subterranean rest on the material midnight of my breast, before I had marked him on his northern way, and seemed to stand, although in bed I lay. I struggled with the horror of daybreak. I chose it for my lot. If questioned on my utmost pleasure with a man by some new married bride, I take that stillness for a theme, where his heart, my heart, did seem, and both adrift on the miraculous stream, where wrote a learned astrologer, the zodiac is changed into a sphere. My reading is certainly not going to be exhaustive, even though all 4 videos compiled together will offer up a healthy chunk of poetry by Yeats. A last confession. What lively lad most pleasured me of all that with me lay? I answer that I gave my soul, and loved in misery, but had great pleasure with a lad that I loved bodily. Flinging from his arms, I laughed to think his passion such. He fancied that I gave a soul, did but our bodies touch, and laughed upon his breast to think beast gave beast as much. I gave what other women gave that stepped out of their clothes, but when this soul, its body off, naked to naked goes, he it has found shall find therein what none other knows, and give his own and take his own, and rule in his own right. And though it loved in misery, close and cling so tight, there's not a bird of day that dare extinguish that delight. One almost wants to add, oh my dear, oh my dear. The 4 ages of man. He with body waged a fight, but body won, it walks upright. Then he struggled with the heart, innocence and peace depart. Then he struggled with the mind, his proud heart he left behind. Now his wars on God begin, at stroke of midnight God shall win. What then? His chosen comrades thought at school he must grow a famous man. He thought the same and lived by rule, all his 20s crammed with toil. What then, sang Plato's ghost, what then? Everything he wrote was read. After certain years he won sufficient money for his need, friends that have been friends indeed. What then, sang Plato's ghost, what then? All his happier dreams came true. A small old house, wife, daughter, son, grounds where plum and cabbage grew. Poets and wits about him drew. What then, sang Plato's ghost, what then? The work is done, grown old, he thought, according to my boyish plan. Let the fools rage, I swerved in naught, something to perfection brought. But louder sang that ghost, what then? This one I have not read in so very long, titled The Wild Old Wicked Man. Because I am mad about women, I am mad about the hills, said that wild old wicked man who travels where God wills. Not to die on the straw at home, those hands to close these eyes, that is all I ask, my dear, from the old man in the skies. Daybreak and a candle end. Kind are all your words, my dear, do not the rest withhold. Who can know the year, my dear, when an old man's blood grows cold? I have what no young man can have, because he loves too much. Words I have that can pierce the heart, but what can he do but touch? Daybreak and a candle end. Then said she to that wild old man, his stout stick under his hand, love to give or to withhold is not at my command. I gave it all to an older man, that old man in the skies. Hands that are busy with his beads can never close those eyes. Daybreak and a candle end. Go your ways, oh, go your ways. I choose another mark. Girls down on the seashore who understand the dark. Bawdy talk for the fishermen, a dance for the fisher lads. When dark hangs upon the water, they turn down their beds. Daybreak and a candle end. A young man in the dark am I, but a wild old man in the light, that can make a cat laugh, or can touch by mother wit things hid in their marrow bones from time long passed away, hid from all those warty lads that by their bodies lay. Daybreak and a candle end. All men live in suffering, I know as few can know, whether they take the upper road or stay content on the low. Rower bent in his rowboat, or weaver bent at his loom, horseman erect upon horseback, or child hid in the womb. Daybreak and a candle end. That some stream of lightning from the old man in the skies can burn out that suffering no right taught man denies. But a coarse old man am I choose the second best. I forget it all a while upon a woman's breast. Daybreak and a candle end. We're hitting some good ones here. A model for the laureate. On thrones from China to Peru, all sorts of kings have sat. that men and women of all sorts proclaimed both good and great. And what's the odds if such as these, for reason of the state, should keep their lovers waiting, keep their lovers waiting? Some boast of beggar kings and kings of rascals black and white, that rule because a strong right arm puts all men in affright, and drunk or sober live at ease where none gainsay their right, and keep their lovers waiting, keep their lovers waiting. The muse is mute when public men applaud a modern throne. Those cheers that can be bought or sold, that office fools have run, that waxen seal, that signature, for things like these, what decent man would keep his lover waiting, keep his lover waiting? This next is fairly long as well. Under Ben Bulben. Swear by what the sages spoke round the Mareotic lake, that the witch of Atlas knew, spoke and set the cocks a-crow. Swear by those horsemen, by those women, complexion and form prove superhuman, that pale, long-visaged company that heirs an immortality, completeness of their passions won. Now they ride the wintry dawn where Ben Bulben sets the scene. Here's the gist of what they mean. 2. Many times man lives and dies between his two eternities, that of race and that of soul, and ancient Ireland knew it all, whether man dies in his bed on the rifle, or the rifle knocks him dead. A brief parting from those dear is the worst man has to fear. Though grave diggers' toil is long, sharp their spades, their muscle strong, they but thrust their buried men back in the human mind again. 3. You that Mitchell's prayer have heard, send war in our time, O Lord. Know that when all words are said and a man is fighting mad, something drops from eyes long blind. He completes his partial mind, for an instant stands at ease, laughs aloud, his heart at peace. Even the wisest man grows tense with some sort of violence before he can accomplish fate, know his work, or choose his mate. 4. Poet and sculptor do the work, nor let the modish painter shirk what his great forefathers did. Bring the soul of man to God, make him fill the cradles right. Measurement began our might, forms a stark Egyptian thought, forms that gentler Phidias wrought. Michelangelo left a proof on the Sistine Chapel roof, where but half-awakened Adam can disturb globe-trotting madam, till her bowels are in a heat, proud that there's a purpose set before the secret working mind, profane perfection of mankind. Quattrocento put in paint on backgrounds for a god or saint, gardens where a soul's at ease, where everything that meets the eye, flowers and grass and cloudless sky, resemble forms that are or seem when sleepers wake and yet still dream, and when it's vanished, still declare with only bed and bedstead there, that heavens had opened. Gyres run on when that greater dream had gone. Calvert and Wilson, Blake and Claude prepared a rest for the people of God. Palmer's phrase, but after that, confusion fell upon our thought. 5. Irish poets, learn your trade. Sing whatever is well made. Scorn the sort now growing up, all out of shape from toe to top. Their unremembering hearts and heads, base-born products of base beds. Sing the peasantry, and then hard-riding country gentlemen. The holiness of monks, and after porter drinkers' randy laughter. Sing the lords and ladies gay that were beaten into the clay through 7 heroic centuries. Cast your mind on other days, that we in coming days may be still the indomitable Irishry. 6. Under bare Ben Bulbin's head, in Drumscliff churchyard. Under bare Ben Bulbin's head, in Drumcliff churchyard, Yeats is laid. An ancestor was rector there. Long years ago, a church stands near. By the road, an ancient cross, no marble, no conventional phrase, on limestone quarried near the spot. By his command, these words are cut. Cast a cold eye on life, on death. Horsemen pass by. I'm just going to leave all the fumbles and flub-ups in. Actually, when I sit in this corner, the lighting just is not as good as I perhaps should have, and so I can't always see the punctuation marks correct or even the letters sometimes, but I'll do the best I can. Well, Michelangelo was mentioned in the last. You will hear him again mentioned here. Sort of in a similar vein as that last. I think better handled here, honestly. Long-legged fly. That civilization may not sink, its great battle lost. Quiet the dog, tether the pony to a distant post. Our master Caesar is in the tent where the maps are spread, his eyes fixed upon nothing, a hand under his head. Like a long-legged fly upon the stream, his mind moves upon silence. That the topless towers be burnt, and men recall that face. Move most gently, if move you must, in this lonely place. She thinks part woman, 3 parts child, that nobody looks. Her feet practice a tinker shuffle, picked up on the street. Like a long-legged fly upon the stream, her mind moves upon silence. That girls at puberty may find the first Adam in their thought. Shut the door of the Pope's chapel, keep those children out. There on the scaffolding reclines Michelangelo. With no more sound than the mice make, his hand moves to and fro. Like a long-legged fly upon the stream, his mind moves upon silence. This one is titled John Kinsella's Lament for Mrs. Mary Moore. A bloody and a sudden end, from gunshot or a noose, For death who takes what man would keep, or leaves what man would lose. He might have had my sister, my cousins by the score, but nothing satisfied the old fool but my dear Mary Moore. None other knows what pleasures man at table or in bed. What shall I do for pretty girls, now my old bawd is dead? Though stiffer at a bargain than any old Jew man, her bargain struck, we laughed and talked, and emptied many a can. And oh, but she had stories, though not for the priest's ear, to keep the soul of man alive, or banish age and care. And being old, she put a skin on everything she said. What shall I do for pretty girls, now my old bawd is dead? I have heard it said in chapel that but for Adam's sin, Eden's garden would still be there, and I be there within. No expectations fail there, no pleasing habits end. No man grows old, no girl grows cold, but friend still walks by friend. No quarrels over halfpence there, they pluck the trees for bread. What shall I do for pretty girls, now my old bawd is dead? This is titled, The Circus Animal's Desertion. 1. I sought a theme and sought for it in vain. I sought it daily for 6 weeks or so. Maybe at last, being but a broken man, I must be satisfied with my heart. Although winter and summer till old age began, my circus animals were all on show. Those stilted boys, that burnished chariot, lion and woman, and the Lord knows what. 2. What can I but enumerate old themes? First, that sea rider, Oisin, led by the nose, through 3 enchanted islands, allegorical dreams, vain gaiety, vain battle, vain repose, themes of the embittered heart, or so it seems, that might adorn old songs or courtly shows. But what cared I that set him on to ride, I starved for the bosom of his fairy bride? And then a counter-truth filled out its play. The Countess Kathleen was the name I gave it. She, pity-crazed, had given her soul away, but masterful heaven had intervened to save it. I thought my dear must her own soul destroy, so did fanaticism and hate enslave it. And this brought forth a dream, and soon enough this dream itself had all my thought and love. And when the fool and blind man stole the bread, Cuchulain fought the ungovernable sea. Heart mysteries there, and yet when all is said, it was the dream itself enchanted me. Character isolated by a deed to engross the present and dominate memory. Players and painted stage took all my love, and not those things that they were emblems of. 3. Those masterful images, because complete, grew in pure mind, but out of what began. A mound of refuse, or the sweepings of a street, old kettles, old bottles, and a broken can, old iron, old bones, old rags, that raving slut who keeps the till. Now that my ladder's gone, I must lie down where all the ladders start, in the foul rag and bone shop of the heart. followed by another great one, politics. In our time, the destiny of man presents its meanings in political terms. Thomas Mann. How can I, that girl standing there, my attention fix on Roman or on Russian or on Spanish politics? Yet here's a traveled man that knows what he talks about, and there's a politician that has both read and thought, and maybe what they say is true of war and war's alarms. But oh, that I were young again and held her in my arms. This next one I thought I would read simply because it is that rarity of rarities, a sonnet by William Butler Yeats. Not one that I know at all, and I don't recall it as being a great poem. But here we go, with a title that reminds one of Christina Rossetti. Remembrance. Remembering thee, I search out these faint flowers of rhyme, remembering thee this crescent night, while o'er the buds and o'er the grass blades, bright and clinging with the dew of odorous showers, with purple sandals sweep the grave-eyed hours, remembering thee, I muse, while fades in flight the honey-hearted leisure of the light, and hanging o'er the hush of willow bowers, of ceaseless loneliness and high regret, sings the young wistful spirit of a star, enfolden in the shadows of the east, and silence holding revelry and feast. Just now my soul rose up and touched it, far in space, made equal with a sigh, we met. Back to some Crazy Jane. Crazy Jane on the mountain. I am tired of cursing the bishop, said Crazy Jane. 9 books or 9 hats would not make him a man. I have found something worse to meditate on. A king had some beautiful cousins, but where are they gone? Battered to death in a cellar, and he stuck to his throne. Last night I lay on the mountain, said Crazy Jane. There in a 2-horsed carriage that on 2 wheels ran, great bladdered Emer sat. Her violent man, Cuchulain, sat at her side. Thereupon, propped upon my 2 knees, I kissed a stone. I lay stretched out in the dirt, and I cried tears down. And the time seems good. I will dig out Purgatory from this book. For some reason, it is not included in this volume, which is a great defect. That and the poorer version of Brown Penny. So they are reasons enough not to get this book unless you feel that you must be a Yeats completist. And I understand that urge as well, if you want to find out all that is in him, so to speak. So it is called a play, but I don't really see that it is the kind of thing that would be staged all that frequently. Could be done, to be sure, but then even the dialogues of Socrates could be staged. So it is a dialogue between a boy and an old man. There are some stage directions given here. I don't know if they are by Yeats or if an editor has put them in, but I will read them. They must be by Yeats. So I wonder if I should, I will, because sometimes the stage direction comes in the middle of a speech and sometimes at the end of it. I will just have to give you a pause after each person finishes speaking so that you know. I think it all is pretty well self-evident regardless. Purgatory, 1939. Persons in the play: a boy, an old man. Scene: a ruined house and a bare tree in the background. So it starts with the boy. Half door, hall door, hither and thither, day and night, hill or hollow, shouldering this pack, hearing you talk. Study that house. I think about its jokes and stories. I try to remember what the butler said to a drunken gamekeeper in mid-October, but I cannot. If I cannot, none living can. Where are the jokes and stories of a house, its threshold gone to patch a pigsty? So you have come this path before. The moonlight falls upon the path, the shadow of a cloud upon the house, and that's symbolical. Study that tree. What is it like? A silly old man. It's like, no matter what it's like. I saw it a year ago, stripped bare as now, so I chose a better trade. I saw it 50 years ago, before the thunderbolt had riven it. Green leaves, ripe leaves, leaves thick as butter, fat, greasy life. Stand there and look, because there is somebody in that house. The boy puts down pack and stands in the doorway. There's nobody here. There's somebody there. The floor is gone, the window's gone, and where there should be roof, there's sky. And here's a bit of an eggshell thrown out of a jackdaw's nest. But there are some that do not care what's gone, what's left. The souls in purgatory that come back to habitations and familiar spots. Your wits are out again. Relive their transgressions, and that not once, but many times. They know at last the consequence of those transgressions, whether upon others or upon themselves. Upon others, others may bring help, for when the consequence is at an end, the dream must end. If upon themselves there is no help, but in themselves and in mercy of God. I have had enough. Talk to the jackdaws, if talk you must. Stop! Sit there upon that stone. That is the house where I was born. The big old house that was burnt down. My mother that was your grandam owned it. This scenery and this countryside, kennel and stable, horse and hound. She had a horse at the Curragh, and there met my father, a groom in a training stable, looked at him and married him. Her mother never spoke to her again, and she did right. What's right and wrong? My granddad got the girl and the money. Looked at him and married him, and he squandered everything she had. She never knew the worst, because she died in giving birth to me. But now she knows it all, being dead. Great people lived and died in this house. Magistrates, colonels, members of parliament, captains and governors, and long ago, men that had fought at Aughrim and the Boyne, some that had gone on government work to London or to India came home to die, or came from London every spring to look at the May blossom in the park. They had loved the trees that he cut down to pay what he had lost at cards or spent on horses, drink, and women. Had loved the house, had loved all the intricate passages of the house. But he killed the house, to kill a house where great men grew up, married, died, I here declare a capital offense. My God, but you had luck, grand clothes, and maybe a grand horse to ride. That he might keep me upon his level, he never sent me to school, but some half loved me for my half of her. A gamekeeper's wife taught me to read, a Catholic curate taught me Latin. There were old books and books made fine by 18th century French binding, books modern and ancient, books by the ton. What education have you given me? I gave the education that befits a bastard that a peddler got upon a tinker's daughter in a ditch. When I had come to 16 years old, my father burnt down the house when drunk. But that is my age, 16 years old, at the Puck Fair. And everything was burnt, books, library, all were burnt. Is what I have heard upon the road the truth, that you killed him in the burning house? There's nobody here but our two selves. Nobody, Father. I struck him with a knife, that knife that cuts my dinner now, and after that I left him in the fire. They dragged him out. Somebody saw the knife wound, but could not be certain, because the body was all black and charred. Then some that were his drunken friends swore they would put me upon trial, spoke of quarrels, a threat I had made. The gamekeeper gave me some old clothes. I ran away, worked here and there, till I became a peddler on the roads. No good trade, but good enough because I am my father's son, because of what I did or may do. Listen to the hoofbeats. Listen, listen. I cannot hear a sound. Beat, beat. This night is the anniversary of my mother's wedding night, or of the night wherein I was begotten. My father is riding from the public house, a whiskey bottle under his arm. A window is lit, showing a young girl. Look at the window. She stands there, listening. The servants are all in bed. She is alone. He has stayed late, bragging and drinking in the public house. There's nothing but an empty gap in the wall. You have made it up. No, you are mad. You are getting madder every day. It's louder now because he rides upon a graveled avenue, all grass today. The hoofbeat stops. He has gone to the other side of the house, gone to the stable, put the horse up. She has gone down to open the door. This night she is no better than her man, and does not mind that he is half drunk. She is mad about him. They mount the stairs. She brings him into her own chamber, and that is the marriage chamber now. The window is dimly lit again. Do not let him touch you. It is not true that drunken men cannot beget, and if he touch, he must beget, and you must bear his murderer. Deaf, both deaf. If I should throw a stick or a stone, they would not hear. and that's a proof my wits are out. But there's a problem. She must live through everything in exact detail, driven to it by remorse. And yet, can she renew the sexual act and find no pleasure in it? And if not, if pleasure and remorse must both be there, which is the greater? I lack schooling to fetch Tertullian. He and I will ravel all that problem out while those two lie upon the mattress, begetting me. Come back, come back. And so you thought to slip away my bag of money between your fingers, and I could not talk, and that I could not talk and see. You have been rummaging in the pack. The light in the window has faded out. You never gave me my right share. And had I given it, young as you are, you would have spent it upon drink. What if I did? I had a right to get it and spend it as I chose. Give me that bag and no more words. I will not. I will break your fingers. They struggle for the bag. In the struggle it drops, scattering the money. The old man staggers but does not fall. They stand looking at each other. The window is lit up. A man is seen pouring whiskey into a glass. What if I killed you? You killed my granddad because you were young and he was old. Now I am young and you are old. The old man stares at the window. Better looking those 16 years. What are you muttering? Younger, and yet she should have known he was not her kind. What are you saying? Out with it. Old man points to the window. My God, the window is lit up and somebody stands there, although the floorboards are all burnt away. The window is lit up because my father has come to find a glass for his whiskey. He leans there like some tired beast. A dead, living, murdered man. Then the bride sleep fell upon Adam. Where did I read those words? And yet there's nothing leaning in the window but the impression upon my mother's mind. Being dead, she is alone in her remorse. A body that was a bundle of old bones before I was born. Horrible, horrible. He covers his eyes. That beast there would know nothing, being nothing. If I should kill a man under the window, he would not even turn his head. He stabs the boy. My father and my son on the same jackknife. That finishes. There, there, there. He stabs again and again. The window grows dark. Hush-a-bye, baby. Thy father's a knight. Thy mother a lady, lovely and bright. No, that is something that I read in a book, and if I sing it, must be to my mother, and I lack rhyme. The stage has grown dark, except where the tree stands in white light. Study that tree. It stands there like a purified soul, all cold, sweet, glistening light. Dear mother, the window is dark again, but you are in the light because I finished all that consequence. I killed that lad because he had grown up, because had he grown up, he would have struck a woman's fancy, begot and passed pollution on. I am a wretched, foul old man, and therefore harmless. When I have stuck this old jackknife into a sod and pulled it out all bright again, and picked up all the money that he dropped, I'll to a distant place, and there tell my old jokes among new men. He cleans the knife and begins to pick up money. Hoofbeats, Dear God, how quickly it returns. Beat, beat. Her mind cannot hold up that dream, twice a murderer and all for nothing, and she must animate that dead night not once but many times. O God, release my mother's soul from its dream. Mankind can do no more. Appease the misery of the living and the remorse of the dead. The end. So that was a fitting conclusion to this series of 4 videos. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel.